Ma, looking for Eddie. Get out of here. Tell me where he is. You just yourself, buddy.
Outlaws kidnapped the daughter of a simple mechanic, but they didn't know he was a former elite assassin who would take out the entire outlaw to save her. Elsewhere, Paul works as a car mechanic. One day, he calls his daughter, Beth, who is studying in another city. Beth says she's fine, just exhausted from schoolwork and not getting enough rest. Paul jokes around and asks about her finals. She says everything is good, but Paul notices she doesn't look well and asks about it. Then, a man's voice suddenly speaks to her aggressively.
What the f*** are you doing?
Beth quickly ends the call, saying she needs to study. Before hanging up, they talk about meeting next week.
I can't wait for next weekend.
Me too.
The next day, Paul returns to the garage to work. A letter is waiting for him, and when he opens it, it's from Beth's university. He tries to contact her again, but this time, a man he doesn't recognize answers the video call. As soon as the man realizes Paul is Beth's father, he quickly hangs up.
Shit, this ain't even my phone.
Paul becomes anxious and calls his daughter repeatedly, but she never answers. He leaves a voice message asking her to call him back, but there's no response. He tries again and leaves another message.
So yeah, I got a notice from school about something, but...
Refusing to give up, Paul contacts Beth's landlord, who tells him that Beth hasn't been seen for several days.
Doesn't look like anybody's been there for a while.
Overcome with fear for her daughter's safety, Paul travels to the city where she studies. When he arrives, he rushes to her apartment and knocks several times, but no one answers. Out of desperation, he forces the door open. Inside, the apartment is nearly empty. As he searches the place, he finds one clue, a photo of Beth and one of her friends standing in front of a bar. Without wasting time, Paul goes straight to the bar shown in the photo, carrying the picture with him. He shows it to a man outside, but the man doesn't recognize her. Inside, Paul asks the bartender if she's seen Beth. The bartender refuses to talk unless she orders something. He hands her some money and asks her just to look at the photo. After looking, she tells him she hasn't seen them tonight and gives the photo back. Paul orders a glass of water and returns to the crowd. Feeling lost and unsure where to look next, he sits at the bar, drinking water. Suddenly, he spots a familiar face, the young woman standing next to Beth in the photo. Realizing she might know something, Paul approaches her. The woman is Angela, Beth's friend. When he asks about Beth, Angela is uncooperative. Showing her the photo, he explains that Beth hasn't been answering his calls. Angela, unaware of his worries, accuses him of going through Beth's things.
Oh, so you've been going through your stuff.
Well, I'm worried about her.
Before Paul can say more, Angela decides to leave. She tells her friends she wants to go. As she's about to walk away, Paul grabs her arm. Her group of friends immediately becomes defensive, thinking Paul is harassing her.
Hey, that's enough.
The bar's security guards throw them all out. Paul quickly explains that he only needs a few minutes to ask about his missing daughter. After hearing this, Angela agrees to talk privately.
5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes.
Angela says she's hungry, so they sit down to eat and talk. She explains that she and Beth are no longer close. Angela likes to go out and works hard, but Beth hasn't attended classes for a while. The last thing she heard was that Beth had moved to New Orleans to follow her boyfriend Eddie, who is known to be involved in drug dealing.
Beth? She doesn't go to school anymore. She is doing shit that I'm not into.
Hearing this shocks Paul, but he stays calm and offers Angela $500 if she helps him find Eddie. Tempted by the offer, Angela agrees to help.
$500. We drive down, just point out where he lives. It doesn't matter whenever we get there, and you can go right back.
During their trip, Angela asks Paul why he hasn't reported Beth's disappearance to the police. Paul explains that it would be useless because authorities usually don't take action until someone has been missing for at least 48 hours. Besides, he believes the police would assume Beth simply ran away on her own, as many young people do.
Why wouldn't you just call the cops?
Because they wouldn't even do anything for 48 hours.
After a few hours on the road, they stop at a gas station. While Paul fills the tank, Angela tells him he should let Beth live her own life. She says she knows about his strict parenting. Paul asks if that's what she has heard. Without saying anything more, he gets back into the car and signals for Angela to join him.
You are so annoying.
Eventually, they arrive in New Orleans. Angela leads Paul to a nightclub where Angela and Beth first met Eddie. Before they go in, Paul tells her to keep her distance so they don't draw attention.
When we get in there, I want you to keep a little distance from me.
Angela looks confused and asks what he means, but Paul simply tells her to trust him. He gets out of the car and tells her to wait a few minutes before entering. He'll go in first to find a place to sit.
You see this Eddie guy? Just let me know, somehow.
Inside the club, Angela quickly loses focus. She goes to the bathroom, takes some drugs, and returns clearly high. She starts dancing with the crowd while Paul notices something is wrong. Unsure what to do, Paul stands off to the side watching. Angela walks up to him and begins flirting, asking him to dance. He ignores him, staying focused on finding his daughter. She suggests they go somewhere else. When he realizes this is the only place still open, he reluctantly agrees.
Like this?
Yeah, it's like the only place that's open.
Just as they step outside, Angela spots a few of Eddie's friends hanging around. Paul approaches them and asks where Eddie is, but instead of answering, the men attack him.
If I receive you here again, you're a dead man.
After beating him, the men start to walk away. Enraged and unwilling to back down, Paul fights back and knocks them out one by one. Before leaving, he grabs one of their phones, hoping it might lead him to Eddie. Back in the car, Paul tells Angela to send a message to Eddie using the stolen phone, asking to meet. Angela, shaken after seeing Paul fight, grows nervous and scared for her safety. She asks what's going on, but Paul refuses to answer. She begs him to take her home, but Paul says he has a place for them to stay.
Can you take me home? I want to go home.
He drives them to a small motel so Angela can rest. Inside, she starts asking questions. Why won't he report Beth's disappearance? Why doesn't he want to be seen together? And how did he fight those men so easily? Paul remains silent. As Angela drifts off to sleep, Paul remains awake. He has a flashback of Omar's car exploding with his family inside. In the memory, Paul tries to intervene, but it's too late. In the present, Angela wakes up and sees Paul standing shirtless in front of the mirror. His muscular, tattooed body catches her attention and she finds herself drawn to him. As tension builds, Eddie replies to the message, agreeing to meet at a bar later that night.
Is that him?
He's at some bar called Excite.
When they arrive, Angela goes inside first and points out where Eddie is sitting. Paul hands her the money he promised and tells her to go home. Paul enters the bar and a man named Stuart notices Paul. Stuart and several others recognize Paul from the past.
Carl, bring another glass.
Paul confronts Eddie and demands to know where his daughter is. Eddie insults Beth, which enrages Paul. Just as he's about to lose control, Stuart steps in and tells the women at the table to leave.
Shut up, Eddie. Come on, let's go!
Stuart sits down and apologizes for Eddie's behavior. He asks Paul to let Eddie live, reminding him of their encounter 20 years ago. Stuart reveals that back then, Paul killed 7 men, exposing Paul's hidden identity as a former assassin who used to eliminate members of criminal organizations.
Every time we shoot, we'd miss like you were made out of air or something.
Stuart then asks Paul why he spared his life that night instead of pulling the trigger. Eddie, realizing who Paul truly is, becomes terrified. Under pressure from his uncle, Eddie finally admits he doesn't know where Beth is.
We went out a few times. She started getting into harder stuff.
Eddie confesses that he once dated Beth, but says she was already using heroin. He didn't want to get involved with that. The last time he saw her, she was with a drug dealer named Tony, known as the Pharmacy. Paul asks for the address, and Stuart gives it to him.
The pharmacy is a scumbag drug dealer named Tony Martinez.
Hearing this, Paul immediately prepares to leave and follow the lead. Before walking away, Paul calmly tells Stuart that the only reason he didn't kill him 20 years ago was because he had run out of bullets.
Oh, Stuart, I ran out of ammo.
Outside the bar, Paul finds Angela waiting for him. She insists on staying to help find Beth, saying she can't just abandon her friend. Paul reluctantly agrees, but makes it clear that he will be the one driving.
I'm driving. Move over.
As they drive away, 2 men lurking nearby begin tailing them. These men turn out to be members of a gang led by Omar, one of the most powerful crime bosses in the area. At the same time, Omar confronts a troublemaker who has been causing chaos in his territory. Listing everything the man has done wrong, Omar orders his right-hand man, Mark, to shoot him. The 2 men following Paul and Angela report back to Omar and describe Paul to him. Realizing who Paul is, Omar becomes furious. He has held a personal grudge against Paul for the past 20 years. Mark tries to calm him down, suggesting that it's better to let the past go, but Omar refuses to listen. Instead, he orders Mark to find Paul and bring him in alive.
Get some people, now. The prince is here. Bring it to me.
While driving, Paul and Angela are suddenly ambushed by 2 of Omar's henchmen, who open fire on them. Paul manages to evade the attack, turn the situation around, and take the attackers down. When he interrogates one of the wounded men, the man confesses that Omar ordered the hit.
Omar.
After getting the information he needs, Paul kills the two men and leaves the scene. Elsewhere, Mark reports back to Omar, informing him that one of the men sent after Paul is dead and the other is seriously injured. He also tells Omar that Paul's real reason for being in the city is to find his missing daughter. Hearing this, Omar becomes even more determined to catch him. Mark, however, feels uneasy about going up against Paul, but Omar believes Paul is responsible for the deaths of his wife and child years ago.
We have a chance to get him. Right now. Let's go get him.
Meanwhile, during their journey, Angela grows curious about Paul's past. She asks why Omar is so desperate to find him. Realizing she won't stop asking, Paul finally opens up.
Who are you?
I'm not a mechanic from Mississippi.
Paul explains that he wasn't just an ordinary man, but a former street gangster who was later recruited by the government to assassinate organized crime leaders. 20 years ago, he was assigned to eliminate Omar. His plan was to plant a bomb in his car, but that day, Omar's wife used the car to take their child to school. Paul tried to stop them, but it was too late. The explosion killed them both right before Omar's eyes. Since that day, Paul has lived with deep guilt and chosen to disappear, leaving his violent life behind to start anew. He tells Angela that finding Beth is now his only goal. He must reach her before Omar does. He warns Angela that Omar's men will try to kill both of them. He asks her to trust him, promising he'll gut her out safely. After fixing up a car he finds, Paul drives to meet an old friend named Sam, who owns a hotel.
This is impressive.
What do you want, Paul?
When Paul arrives at Sam's hotel, he tells Sam everything that has happened. Sam knows who Pharmacy is and gives him new information about Tony. Before leaving, Paul asks Sam to look after Angela and keep her safe. Although Sam has long left that dangerous life behind, he reluctantly agrees.
We'll wait here then.
After Paul leaves, Sam tells Angela that Paul was once a powerful man, known in the underworld as the Prince. He warns her about the danger of getting involved with him, explaining that Paul is a deadly man and advising her to stay away if she wants to survive. Then Paul visits another old contact who once ran a black market weapons shop. When he arrives, he learns that the man has died and that the shop is now managed by his son, Frank. After some hesitation, Frank agrees to return the old weapons Paul once left in his father's care.
How many you gonna need? How many you got?
Armed and ready, Paul goes to Tony's place, pretending to have information that could save his life. The guards confiscate his weapons before letting him inside. Soon, Paul meets Tony and demands to know where his daughter is.
Jimmy tells me you got some information for me. Some sort of tip.
Tony leads him to a room where Beth lies unconscious from an overdose. It turns out she was being used as bait to lure Paul into a trap so they could hand him up to Omar. But Paul fights back, killing Tony and his men before escaping with his daughter. Moments later, Mark arrives at Tony's place only to find the scene in ruins and Paul already gone. Meanwhile, Paul returns to Sam's hotel to treat his injuries from the gunfight. Mark informs Omar that Paul has escaped and is hiding at Sam's hotel. Furious, Omar orders him to capture him immediately.
Battle house. He had a girl with him who looked pretty strung out.
At the hotel, Beth finally wakes up with Angela beside her. Paul comes to her bedside and promises that they'll go home soon. Filled with regret, Beth apologizes, but Paul assures her that nothing has changed between them.
Everything's changed.
Not with me, it hasn't.
Paul tells Angela to leave while he and Beth prepare to head home. Before they can, Mark and his men surround the hotel and open fire. A violent gunfight erupts between Paul's side and Omar's men. During the chaos, Angela is captured and taken away. Shortly after, she returns with a car and Paul escapes with her while Sam stays behind to deal with the aftermath. On the way, Paul stops by Frank's shop again to restock on weapons, preparing for one final confrontation. Meanwhile, Beth is brought before Omar. He tells her that he once worked with her father and that her father took everything from him. During their conversation, Omar notices that Beth is an addict.
Where's home?
Pontotoc.
What?
Fully armed, Paul drives straight to Omar's base. Without hesitation or fear, he storms the building alone, determined to end everything once and for all. One by one, he takes down Omar's men. Inside the hideout, Paul finally finds Omar holding Beth hostage. Paul pleads with him to let her go, explaining that she has nothing to do with their past. As he slowly approaches, Mark suddenly appears and attacks him. A brutal fight breaks out between Paul and Mark. Despite being wounded and exhausted, Paul manages to overpower and kill him. Finally, Omar and Paul face each other. Omar raises his gun, but Paul reacts quickly, turns his weapon, and fires first, killing Omar instantly. With the danger finally over, Beth rushes to Paul's side. He is badly injured, but she helps him up. Outside, Angela waits with the car. The three of them get in and drive away together.